The concert hall fell silent as the last notes of Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata echoed through the empty space. Alexander Chen sat alone in the back row, his tailored suit wrinkled from another sleepless night, his eyes fixed on nothing. At 42, he was the youngest CEO in his company's history, a man who had built an empire from nothing, and yet he had never felt more hollow. "Sir, we're closing up," a janitor called from the doorway. Alexander nodded, rising slowly. These late-night visits to the concert hall had become his refuge, the only place where the noise in his head quieted enough for him to breathe. He made his way toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness, when something made him stop. Music, tentative, imperfect, but hauntingly beautiful. Someone was playing the grand piano on stage, the one instrument that was supposed to be off-limits, locked away after performances. Alexander frowned, his CEO instincts kicking in. He should report this, call security. Instead, he found himself walking toward the sound, drawn by something he couldn't name. As he approached the stage, he saw her. A little girl, no more than 7 or 8 years old, sat on the piano bench with her legs dangling, not quite reaching the pedals. Her clothes were worn but clean, her dark hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Her small fingers moved across the keys with a kind of desperate concentration, playing a melody that was both simple and profound. "Excuse me," Alexander said, his voice softer than intended. "You're not supposed to be here." The girl's hands froze mid-note. She turned, her eyes wide with fear, and Alexander felt something crack in his chest. Those eyes, they reminded him of someone, though he couldn't place who. "I'm sorry, sir," she whispered, sliding off the bench. "I didn't mean to cause trouble. I'll go." "Wait." The word escaped before Alexander could think. "What were you playing?" The girl clutched her small backpack to her chest. Just a song my mommy taught me. I wanted to practice, but we don't have a piano at home." "We don't have," she trailed off, looking down. Alexander should have escorted her out. He should have called security. Instead, he found himself sitting on the edge of the stage, gesturing for her to continue. "It was beautiful. What's your name?" "Lily," she said quietly. "Lily Martinez." "Well, Lily, I'm Alexander. I come here sometimes to listen to music. Would you play that song for me again? The one your mother taught you?" Lily hesitated, then climbed back onto the bench. "Mommy said music is like pieces of your heart that you share with other people. She said even when we're sad, music helps us remember we're not alone." As Lily's fingers touched the keys again, Alexander felt tears prick his eyes, something that hadn't happened in 15 years, not since the day his own mother died. The melody was simple, almost childlike, but there was something in the way Lily played it that spoke of longing and love and loss. When she finished, Alexander cleared his throat. "Your mother sounds wise. Is she a musician?" Lily's hands fell still in her lap. She was. She played at restaurants and weddings. She was the best piano player in the whole world. The past tense hung in the air like smoke. She got sick last year. Cancer. She's in the hospital now, and the doctors say. Lily's voice broke. They say there's not much more they can do. Alexander's hands clenched into fists. He knew that helplessness, that rage against fate. "I'm sorry, Lily. I come here sometimes because it makes me feel close to her," Lily continued, wiping her eyes with her sleeve. "But I know I'm not supposed to. Please don't tell anyone. My Aunt Maria, she's taking care of me now. She works so hard. I don't want to make more trouble for her." For the first time in years, Alexander felt something other than the numb emptiness that had consumed him. Here was this child, facing the unthinkable, and she worried about causing trouble. "How do you get in?" he asked. Lily looked embarrassed. "There's a side door that doesn't lock right. I only come when I think no one's here. I'm really sorry, sir. I'll stop, I promise." Alexander pulled out his phone, scrolling through his contacts. "What hospital is your mother in?" "Street Mary's." "But why? And what's her name?" Rosa Martinez." "Sir, I don't understand." Alexander made a call, his voice taking on the authoritative tone that had built his empire. "Dr. Morrison, this is Alexander Chen. I need you to review a patient file at St. Mary's. Rosa Martinez." "Yes, immediately. I want to know every detail of her case and what can be done." "Money is not an object." Lily stared at him, her mouth open. "Sir, what are you doing?" Alexander ended the call and looked at the girl, really looked at her. "When I was about your age, my mother got sick too. Cancer, like yours. We didn't have money for the best doctors, the best treatments. I watched her fade away, knowing that if we'd just had more resources, more options, she might have lived. His voice grew rough. I promised myself that when I grew up, I'd make enough money so that would never happen to anyone I cared about again. But you know what, Lily? I've spent 20 years making money, and I haven't used it to help a single person. Not really. I've been so busy being successful that I forgot why I wanted success in the first place. But you don't even know me, Lily whispered. No, but your mother taught you that music is pieces of your heart that you share with others. That means she taught you to be generous, to be open, even when you have so little. That's more than most people ever learn. Alexander stood up, feeling something like purpose flowing through his veins for the first time in years. I can't promise anything, Lily. Medicine is complicated, but I can make sure your mother has access to the best doctors, the best treatments, the best chance. Lily launched herself at him, wrapping her thin arms around his waist, sobbing. Alexander stood frozen for a moment, then carefully placed a hand on her head, his own eyes burning with unshed tears. Over the next 3 weeks, Alexander became a man possessed. He consulted with specialists around the world, flew in an experimental oncologist from Germany, and personally oversaw Rosa Martinez's treatment plan. He found himself visiting the hospital every evening after work, initially to check on Rosa's progress, but increasingly to sit with Lily in the waiting room, listening to her talk about her mother, about school, about her dreams of becoming a pianist like Rosa. "Mommy's getting stronger," Lily told him one evening, her face glowing. "The doctors say the new treatment is working. They say she might get to come home." Alexander felt a warmth in his chest that he'd thought was dead. "That's wonderful, Lily. It's because of you," she said seriously. "You're like a guardian angel." Alexander laughed, a sound that surprised even himself. "I'm no angel, kid. I'm just a man who forgot what really mattered and needed a reminder." "Is that why you're always alone?" Lily asked with the brutal honesty of children. "Because you forgot." The question hit Alexander like a physical blow. He thought of his empty penthouse, his non-existent social life, the relationships he'd sacrificed on the altar of success. "Yeah," he said quietly. "I guess I did forget. I forgot that success doesn't mean much if you have no one to share it with." Lily took his hand, her small fingers wrapping around his. "Mommy always says it's never too late to remember who you really are." 1 month later, Alexander stood in the concert hall again, but this time it was filled with people. He'd rented it out for a special evening, a benefit concert for families dealing with cancer, with all proceeds going to create a foundation in Rosa Martinez's name to help other families afford treatment. Rosa sat in the front row, still weak but alive, tears streaming down her face as she watched her daughter play. Lily's Aunt Maria sat beside her, holding her hand. And Alexander stood in the back, his heart full in a way it hadn't been in decades. Lily played the song her mother had taught her, the simple melody that had started everything. But she didn't play alone. Rosa had insisted on teaching Alexander the harmony, and now he sat beside Lily on the piano bench, his hands moving over the keys, their music intertwining. When they finished, the audience erupted in applause, but Alexander barely heard it. He was looking at Lily's face, radiant with joy, and at Rosa's tears of gratitude, and at all the families in the audience who would benefit from the foundation. "Sir," Lily whispered as they took their bow. "Yes, thank you for not making me leave that night. Thank you for listening." Alexander knelt down, looking her in the eye. "Thank you for reminding me what it means to be human. You saved me, Lily. You and that song your mother taught you." After the concert, as the crowd mingled and celebrated, Rosa approached Alexander. She was thin, her head covered with a colorful scarf, but her eyes were bright. "Mr. Chen, I don't have words to thank you for what you've done for my family. Please, call me Alexander. And I should be thanking you. You raised an extraordinary daughter, Mrs. Martinez." She reminded me that success isn't measured in dollars or acquisitions. It's measured in the lives we touch, the love we give, the connections we make. Rosa smiled, taking his hand. "Lily told me you lost your mother when you were young. I'm so sorry." Alexander nodded, surprised to find he could talk about it without the old pain crushing him. "I spent years being angry about it, then years being numb. I thought building an empire would fill the hole she left. But it took your daughter, breaking into a concert hall to play a forbidden piano, to show me what I was really missing." "What was that?" Rosa asked gently. "Purpose, connection, love." Alexander looked across the room to where Lily was excitedly telling a group of children about the piano. I've started a foundation, but I want to do more. I want to create music programs for underprivileged children, sponsor young musicians, make sure kids like Lily get the chances they deserve. I want to use everything I've built for something that matters. Rosa squeezed his hand. My daughter tells me you play the piano now. She's very proud to be your teacher. Alexander laughed. She's a tough instructor. She made me practice scales for 2 hours yesterday. Good. You need someone to keep you honest. Rosa's expression grew serious. Alexander, you gave my daughter her mother back. You gave me more time with my baby girl. That's not something that can ever be repaid. You already repaid it, Alexander said quietly. You taught Lily that music is pieces of your heart you share with others. She shared her heart with me that night, and it woke me up from a very long, lonely sleep. 6 months later, Alexander's life looked completely different. His penthouse was no longer a sterile showcase but a home, with Lily's drawings on the refrigerator from her weekly visits and Rosa's recommendations for new pieces scattered across the piano he'd installed. He'd started volunteering at the children's hospital, bringing music therapy to young patients. He'd reconnected with old friends he'd pushed away during his climb to the top. He'd even started dating Sarah, a music teacher he met at one of the foundation events, someone who understood his newfound passion for making a real difference. But every Wednesday evening, without fail, he met Lily at the concert hall for their lesson. She'd progressed rapidly under proper instruction, her natural talent blooming with training, and Alexander had discovered a love of teaching that he never knew he possessed. You're getting better, Lily announced one evening, after Alexander stumbled through a particularly difficult passage. Not good, but better. Thanks, I think, Alexander said dryly, making her giggle. Lily grew serious, her fingers resting on the keys. Alexander, can I ask you something? Of course. That first night, when you found me here, why didn't you just call security and have me thrown out? You were this important CEO, and I was just some kid who broke in. Why did you listen? Alexander thought about it, really thought about it. I think I recognized something in you that I'd lost in myself. You were alone in this big empty hall, playing your heart out to no one, and that's exactly how I'd been living my life. You reminded me that music, that beauty, that connection, it's not just for the happy people or the successful people. It's for the broken people too. Maybe especially for them. Lily nodded slowly. Mommy says you're part of our family now. Is that okay with you? Alexander felt his throat tighten with emotion. It's more than okay, Lily. It's everything. As they began to play together, their hands moving over the keys in harmony, Alexander realized that the little girl who'd broken into the concert hall hadn't just reminded him to live, she'd given him a reason to. She'd taken a lonely CEO who'd lost himself in the pursuit of success and shown him what true wealth looked like: connection, compassion, love. The music swelled through the concert hall, no longer echoing in emptiness but filling a space that was alive with possibility, with hope, with the beautiful, imperfect melody of two people who'd found each other in their loneliness and created something better together. And if Alexander's mother could have seen him now, he thought, she would have recognized her son again, not the ruthless businessman he'd become, but the boy she'd raised, the one who believed that success meant nothing if you had no one to share it with, that money was worthless if it wasn't used to help others, that the greatest gift you could give was to see someone else's pain and choose to ease it, even when you had nothing to gain. Lily had learned a song from her mother, and in teaching it to a lonely CEO, she'd reminded him of the most important lesson of all: we are not meant to live alone, not meant to hoard our gifts and our resources and our love. We are meant to share them, to connect, to let the broken pieces of our hearts create something beautiful when they touch the broken pieces of someone else's. That was the real music. That was the song worth playing.